Are you drinking stuff, or do you just have your normal water bottle that you have there? All I have is a.
I got a water right now. I'm between bottles of wine at the moment.
Rough times at the Wilkinson apartment.
I've got more wines. I just didn't put any of them in the fridge. They weren't ready.
Gotcha. Unprepared.
Mm-hmm.
Melissa, let's start this one off with a question. What is the correct way to make and eat a sandwich?
What do you mean the correct way to make it?
Just how do you make a sandwich? Like, if you had your standard like white bread that you buy from the store, right? And you're making a sandwich, how do you make that sandwich? What order do you put things in? Do you fold the meats? Do you put cheese on first? Do you spread the condiments with a knife? Is there a certain stacking thing that you do? Do you cut the sandwich? Which part do you eat first?
This is a very personal series of questions.
Yes, we're asking the real tough questions here on the Captain's Log.
Cheapers. Okay, so if I'm just making your standard lunch meat and cheese sandwich, I put condiments on both breads, and then usually meat on the outside, cheese on the inside. And I will typically get the lunch meat that is approximately the same size as the bread, so no folding is really needed.
You say cheese on the inside. Does that mean it's sandwiched between two layers of meat? Like there's
I think so. Yeah.
Ham, cheese, and then more ham or something?
Yeah. I think I like a slightly higher meat to cheese ratio. Unless, like, the point of the sandwich is the cheese. Like, if I was having a grilled cheese with, like, an appearance of bacon.
Sure, yeah.
You know, this is meat featuring cheese, not the other way around.
Okay. Do you put on, like, lettuce or tomatoes? Or, I mean, I guess it kind of depends on what sandwich you're making. But is that something you generally like?
If I have them, I don't know. I rarely go for that stuff in my own home sandwich making because I would be the only one eating them. And if it's like, okay, I want a lettuce and tomato sandwich, then I'm committing to eating lettuce and tomato sandwich for like 4 meals in a row to like make sure I use up the food while it's still good. So normally I let others make the produce for me. Like if I'm getting a sub sandwich somewhere, then I want it all loaded up with all the vegetables.
Right. Now, the meat. How many slices are we talking about here?
Depends on how thick cut, but I'd say, like at least 4 slices.
Okay.
If it's like kind of like a thinner deli slice, yeah.
Sure.
2 on each, cheese in the middle.
There you go. That makes sense to me. Now, you've made your sandwich. You put the 2 sides together. What's next? Are you a cut them in half down the middle or diagonal? You go straight to
mouth
eating it.
No mouth cuts. Next.
No cuts.
The reasons to cut a sandwich are for presentation or for transport. Like your kid's lunchbox is only so big one way.
Yeah.
So like if I'm just put it right, like if I'm just having it on a plate for myself and it's not meant to be photogenic, I don't also need to cut it.
You're a big kid. You can have one whole sandwich, not 2 half sandwiches, right?
Exactly. Big sandwich, big girl.
There you go. Now, you're about to eat the sandwich. It's going towards your mouth. Where do you bite first?
Oh, bottom crust.
Bottom is the bottom of the bread to you the like muffin top side, or is it the
that's the top of the bread.
I agree, but so you start at the bottom
because it's the least good, so I just get it out of the way first.
Interesting. See, I say that's blasphemy. You start at the top and work your way down.
I can understand that. That definitely makes sense. But no, I'm not a crust fan. Like, I wasn't one of those kids who insisted that the crust be cut off. But like, if I have my wits about me, I'd prefer them to not be there. And so, like, I'm not going to cut them off, but I will eat them out of the way first. And I'll start with the bottom crust because it's the crustiest.
That's like eating a pizza backwards, like starting with the crust on that one and then working your way to like the tip of that slice.
But a pizza is a triangle where it makes sense to start at the little bit and end at the wide part. Bread is like sandwiches. It's a square. Like you can start at any side. Same size ratio.
If you do the diagonal cut, it is also a triangle.
It is also a triangle. Well, you tell me how you make a sandwich.
All right, so got my pieces of bread there, and I start with the lunch meat. And I do something a little bit strange, where the first 2 slices of meat that I fold in half and then set them down on the meat so they're like semicircles, right?
Yeah.
With the straight edges on the outside. Because it's like square bread, and if you just put the square or the circular lunch meat on there, you don't get meat in the corners. So if you fold them in half, you then get meat in the corners there. Then the next 2 slices of meat that I put on there are just straight on circular meat right there. Then my slice of cheese. Personally, I like a ham and turkey sandwich with pepper jack cheese.
Pepper jack's very popular.
It is indeed. I used to go Swiss, ham and Swiss, and then I was like, you know what? I need to make a better sandwich. So I was like, I'm going to add different meats.
Wow, Kyle. I'm living a ham and Swiss life right now. That's what I've got. This week I bought ham and Swiss and Hawaiian rolls.
Ooh,
those seemed like they would be the best compliments to the Hawaiian rolls. Yeah.
They are good, yeah.
I let myself have Hawaiian rolls like twice a year.
Living large. But yeah, so then I have my slice of cheese on top of that. I'm stacking this all on one slice of bread so far. Then I'm only a fan of mustard. I don't like mayonnaise. I don't like anything else. So I have plain old
only
yellow
like mustard.
mustard.
Solo work.
Right, yeah. I only like mustard. So I go in a like, not circular, but like squarular. I don't know what it is.
Squarular.
Like a
I have another question.
Like a square spiral. If that makes
from the Book of
sense.
Saw. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
I have a question. Are you like French's yellow mustard only, or do you get into exotic and textured mustards?
I prefer regular yellow, so I don't really care what brand, if it's Heinz or some off one, or as you said, French's. I'm fine with Dijon mustard. I don't like as much of that because it has a stronger flavor. But beyond that, I really haven't ventured out into exotic mustards.
Ooh.
But yeah, just a plain old regular mustard. Boring mustard is the life that I choose to lead. It's in like a square spiral, right?
Okay.
All the way, and it's quite a bit of mustard that I put on there.
Is it so much and is it so densely spiraled together that there's no need for like a knife to kind of spread it around?
See, I think if you spread it with a knife, it's too thin. There's not enough there.
Okay.
So no, it is pretty dense, but it's not like, holy shit, you want some sandwich with that mustard? Oh my God, Subway. Sometimes they just don't know how to make a sandwich. I've gone to Subway and they I get the like meat and the cheese and all that stuff, and then they're like, okay, what else do you want? And they just start reaching for stuff before you've said things. I'm like, hold up, only
They're prepared.
Yellow mustard. They always look at me like, what are you, 5 years old? And I'm like, yeah, basically. and then they put yellow mustard on, but then they often think that because I don't want anything else, that I want to compensate for that with mustard. I am not a mustard compensator, I promise you. But sometimes they just go, tell me when, and they don't even look, and they just start squeezing that whole thing on there, and I'm like, oh my god, stop! What are you doing? Like, I want a sandwich, not a soup. Like,
it's 2 in
like,
1,
right?
God,
Yeah,
mustard-based soups.
Gross. But like, I don't know who in their right mind would want that much mustard on a sandwich. I like mustard, but not that much. So yeah, I like a good amount of mustard. Then the second slice of bread. If I'm feeling fancy, I will put some barbecue chips on my sandwich, but I will put that. I will put the second slice of bread on that, and then flip it, and then take the bread off, and then put the chips on that side, so it's not touching the mustard, and it won't get soggy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I like some kind of like barbecue or like spicy jalapeno chip. To add some texture, but no lettuce, no tomatoes, no stuff like that. I don't like those. Okay. No, thank you.
Okay.
But then I eat from the top down from one of the corners. I go corner, center, corner, center. Because if you eat all the way across, you have that like half of the sandwich that's like smacking you in the face. There, and it's like
smacking.
No. Yeah, you don't want that. You don't want the sandwich smacking you.
I feel like none of these are the way that you see a sandwich being eaten in cartoons and illustrations, where it's one big bite out of top center.
Right, which is the same thing. Like, you bite so far in, and then you have like sandwich smacking you. Right? It's just like, right?
I feel like biting straight into the middle of the thing makes you feel like you're a Jaws or a Jurassic Park.
Sure. Yeah. But see, it's the like corner where I can like there is no smacking. It goes all the way in. Right. It's like a slice of pizza in that sense. And then I go to the other top corner, and then the center has that nice part that's sticking out, and you can eat that, and you'll have nothing smacking you because it's on the one step down.
No smacks.
No sandwich smacks.
Now I have another question. We've been talking about eating strategies for square sandwiches. If you've got a sub sandwich, how?
All right, so if they've cut the bread all the way through, they're terrible. They're monsters. If they have one side that is still attached, right? So it's more
preferable.
Actually like a long taco in that sense, right?
Sure.
Then you start with the side that is not, or you start with the side that is cut.
I've never seen anyone start with the closed side.
I have, and it's been a disaster for them, and I'm just like, what are you doing? You should know this, and it'll just like squirt out, and it's just like, what are you doing? Don't eat a sandwich. Like, where have you eaten sandwiches? Makes no sense.
Where have you?
But yeah, and then if they cut the sub in half. Like if you've gotten like a foot long, then I start with the side that is cut, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So smart, I think. But that's
I think so,
what I do.
yeah.
That is what I think the correct way to make and eat a sandwich is. But some of these people out there are heathens, and they just do that circular meat, and then they'll bite the corners, and all they get is bread. And it's just like, no, there's no like bread to meat ratio.
I've done that sometimes so that I get like extra meat in the middle, and like I just eat the plain bread bits at the beginning. I just get it out of the way. Sometimes the sandwich is art, and sometimes it's just fuel. Like I just need to accomplish sandwiches.
Fuel.
Just as quickly as I can. I just need to. I'm never very happy that I'm eating a sandwich at home, so I just want the process done with.
Okay. That's fair. We put a lot of hard work into the shows that we make, and yes, we make multiple different shows here at the Whatnauts, and we'd love it if you would check them all out. You can find out more information on our websites at thewhatnauts.com, as well as your favorite podcasting platform of choice. When you type in the Whatnauts, all of our shows will pop up right there. Just don't forget to give us a nice rating and review if you like the shows. If you want to support what we do here at The Whatnauts, patreon.com/thewhatnauts is the best place to do that. You can support us for as little as $1 a month. You can get all kinds of exclusive content at our $3 tier, and you can get a shout out and thank you on all of our shows at the $5 tier. You can support us on Twitch by subscribing to our channel at twitch.tv/thewhatnauts, and we would love to have you all join us for our live streams and talk with us in the chat. And lastly, we have merch. If you want to grab yourself a shirt or a sweatshirt or a mug or something else, head over to thewhatnauts.com/store to pick up some merch today. That's fair. Melissa, let's move on. All of that stuff. Enough sandwich talk. This is just a random thing.
We were talking about sandwiches for, I think, 15 solid minutes.
Hey, sandwiches are good content, okay? Food-related content is gold. Because you can get a lot.
Just ask the Doughboys, yeah.
Hey, don't tempt me. I will go back to the Mountain Dew fan wiki right now. Melissa, how has your week been?
It's been fine. Yes.
There you go.
Yes, I got a burger yesterday. I don't know. Just trying to look back, think on the highlights. I ate a burger. I watched Darkman.
You've watched Dark and Darkman this week.
Right, now I have to watch a movie only called Man.
or
Darkwing Duck.
There you go. Hi, Sam.
Are you from? Hi, Sam.
Sam is
Hello?
in the chat and says, I missed 20 minutes of the podcast because I was dyeing my hair. You missed good old-fashioned sandwich talk. We were discussing the correct way to eat a sandwich. So there you go. So you watched Darkman. What is Darkman? I'm not familiar with this.
This is a movie that is directed by Sam Raimi. Came out in the year of our birth, 1990. We're both one Darkman old.
There you go.
It is his homage to like old Universal horror films and like pulp heroes, like your Shadow, like your
who knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men.
The Phantom.
A Shadow knows.
Those.
Yeah.
Right, it's one of those. And it's Liam Neeson, and he works in a lab where he's making fake skin. But the skin completely melts after 100 minutes because it's allergic to light. It can live a little bit longer in the dark, right? And then his girlfriend, Frances McDormand, gets involved in some, accidentally wanders into like shady dealings of some kind. And like she stole an important memo, and the memo is at Liam Neeson's office. And so they blow up the office to get rid of this memo. Because it's the year 1990. And if you destroy that one piece of paper that the information is on, there's no copies of it anywhere.
Yeah.
They blow up his lab. He's terribly melted. So he has to learn to like take this still developing skin technology and apply it to himself. So the movie's a lot of him
Boy
like
from
Skin Boy
County. That's what I'm imagining.
I was
Skin Boy
thinking of
gets a
Skin
body.
Boy. We also watched in this movie club, we watched Face Off recently, a movie about faces, making faces in a lab. So this is a weird niche we've stumbled into.
Interesting.
Yeah, so he's just scanning faces and printed faces off and wearing the faces, and he's like all melty underneath. And Francis McDormand thinks he's dead, but then he goes back outside and he's like, "It's me, I'm alive." But he can't tell her what happened, and he can only be around her for 100 minutes at a time before his skin starts to melt.
Yeah,
it's an absolute madcap film. It's so pulpy. You can definitely tell
Does the
does.
character have to do something to like maintain the skin? Like, do they have to like constantly put on lotion or something to like moisturize it?
No, I think after 100 minutes the skin's just donezo, and he has to make new skin.
And so he just has to.
We don't
shed
see him
his
like
skin
reuse
and do stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
He just like pulls it off like it's Mission Impossible, and he has to print a new face like Mission Impossible. So it's a precursor to Mission Impossible. And it's like the year after Batman came out. You can see like some Batman in here. You can see a lot of what will become Spider-Man in here. It's that same like very heightened, like melodramatic sense of reality.
Yeah.
It's a bonkers film. And the editing's wild. Like Darkman keeps having all of these frantic hallucinations of things that are haunting him, and there's flames and people laughing at him. And there's a scene where he takes Frances McDormand to the carnival. He's trying to win her like a pink elephant, and the guy won't give it to him, and he snaps and he just beats this guy up. It's a wild time. It's a beautifully weirdly shot film. I truly enjoyed myself. I recommend that you watch Darkman.
What is the name of this niche genre that we have discovered? Faces in a lab, as Sam says.
Lab skin. The lab skin. Go to Netflix, look for the lab skin heading.
The skin lab genre. The face melters, right?
Right.
The shedders.
I was thinking this week about how a lot of movies don't change very much if you put the word "the" in front of the title when it wasn't already there. Like Titanic and The Titanic. That's the same film. But I was thinking that there's a very big difference between Grease and The Grease.
The definitive article. The definitive Grease.
Like a movie called The Grease is some splattery horror movie where John Travolta just melts. He's got like an eyeball hanging off his face.
Or The Blob.
Yeah. Right. It's the stuff. The Grease is the stuff.
The Happening.
Imagine if The Happening was just called Happening. There's some movies where adding or removing a "the" changes it completely.
That would be the perfect opportunity for one of those like terrible like up dog jokes where they're like, "What's up, dog?" Some guy gets to the ticket thing at the movie and he's like, "What's happening?" And the guy goes like, "I don't know what's happening with you." But
wow, if only that movie had come out several decades before, when all you could do was just go to a theater and point at something, and you never saw a trailer or knew read an Entertainment Weekly article.
Exactly. So you watched Darkman, and then I mentioned
watched Darkman.
We are watching Dark. the German Netflix show. We are watching that for our podcast, The Review Show, this week. So, Melissa, you and I will be discussing that on Sunday. In fact, we will be covering season 1 of this show on Sunday, but then for the next 2 months after that, at the end of each month, we will be covering season 2 and 3 of that as well. I think that's one of my favorite shows.
It's
that's all I'm really gonna say for right now. It's really good. But
it is very impressive.
There you go. There you go. You guys can find our full thoughts on that on the review show later on this week.
Yeah, we've yet to do it.
Sam says, what about Garth Marenghi's Dark Place?
Ah, yes! Another dark title I should watch.
There you go.
Ah, that's a good one. I haven't seen that in a long time.
I'm not familiar with that one either.
Oh, it's some British comedy series from like the mid 2000s. It's got Richard Ayoade in it from like the IT Crowd. Another guy whose name I don't remember, but he's been in a lot of those British comedy series like that. And it is the show is a pulpy horror show from the 80s. Like, it's made in the mid 2000s, designed to look like an extremely low budget production.
Sam says
from
Matt Berry.
Matt Berry, that's his name. Thank you, Sam.
Yeah.
So it's super, super cheap looking on purpose, and it's about like an author who's writing novels, and you see the author, and then you see like he like introduces the episodes, and then you see the story he's writing, and it's about like a cursed hospital. So it's like a medical drama, but also everybody's like there's always a demon or a monster.
Interesting. That actually
sounds very
kind of neat.
It's very silly. I like it a lot. Speaking of things that are very silly, I also just watched Top Secret for the first time since I was like 15. Top Secret's still pretty good.
You're naming all sorts of things. I'm just like, I have no idea what these are.
Wow, time to learn, Kyle. Top Secret is the follow-up from the guys who made Airplane.
Okay, that I know.
Yeah. It's Val Kilmer's first role, and he plays this Elvis type rock and roll singer who's very popular, and he goes to like Cold War East Germany to like perform. He's like the first rock and roll allowed into the country to perform at some cultural festival, and he gets embroiled in this underground resistance spy nonsense.
Interesting. Okay.
So it's got Val Kilmer in it, and then at one point he encounters an old scientist played by Alfred. Alfred is there.
Okay, interesting. So I'm wondering. This is a weird memory that I have. So you know the song "Moon Dance." It's a marvelous night for a moon dance.
We've covered Moon Dance.
So I discovered that song when I was really, really young, and it was on an album that I don't think, because it's a Van Morrison song, right? Is that who it is? Yes. I don't think the version that I listened to when I discovered was by Van Morrison, because it was on a CD that, if my memory is correct, was called Top Secret. But I've never been able to find that like in stores or on Spotify or stuff like that. So I'm like, now I'm wondering, like, was that song on the soundtrack to Top Secret?
It was not.
Ah, man. Close, but no cigar. This mystery still eludes me.
Was this like a mysterious burned CD and that was the label?
No, it was in a brown, like, so the CD insert was like in a brown case meant to look like a not a manila holder, but something
Yes.
similar, right? And it had the stamp
Sure.
top secret. But then the pages had the lyrics and pictures of the musicians like in the studio as they were making the stuff and recording it. But it was like a mix of different genres and styles and stuff like that. And that was the only song on that I liked. And I just like, from what I remember, it was a great cover, but I don't think I've ever found that cover of that song. But then I've gone back to be like, oh, this is a Van Morrison song, and I like that song. I don't know. It eludes me. It is a top secret CD.
Yeah, I am curious now what the theme of a CD would be, of a compilation, presumably. What that theme would be to where it is labeled top secret. Like, it might be one thing if it's like, what part of it is a secret? From who? Why?
That's why I'm wondering, like, was this a soundtrack to something that I don't know? And I missed a, like, maybe it was a soundtrack to something else, and the subtitle was top secret. I don't know if they did something weird like that, or that was just in the artwork, right? It was like some spy related thing, and it just had top secret on there, but that was not the actual name. I'm not sure, but that is the thing that like stood out to me there. I've never found it. So I don't know. Strange.
There's got to be a compendium somewhere of like, you type in the name of a song and this service tells you what movies and TV episodes it's been in.
It probably is.
That happens to me a lot, where I hear a song and I'm like, I know this from something.
They have I think there's a website along the lines of like whosampled.com, and you can look up just like who sampled Moondance by Van Morrison, right? And that, you know, it'll name all of the like songs that have taken samples of that and like repurposed them and stuff like that.
Yes.
So yeah, there has to be something like that out there for that, but who knows? Alyssa, I finished season 1 of MODOK. It was really good.
Sounds fun.
It was really fun. It was really funny. You should absolutely check it out. I
will. I thought about it today, and then I decided I was sitting down to eat breakfast, and it's like, I'm not starting a brand new TV show first thing in the morning. That's lunch at least.
Yeah, I mean it's not skits. It's not what I was about to say Rooster
Android.
Yeah, it's not skits like what Robot Chicken does. Yeah. It is like a 22-minute long actual full length show. But yeah, I mean it is a good thing. Like if you just want something to sit down and watch while you're on your lunch, like it would be perfect for that.
I will do it. Yeah. It'll happen.
Yeah. Highly recommend that, because I hope they make more stuff like that. Like, as much as I like all the stuff that's in the MCU, please give me more stuff that is quality. Like I want in, because like Marvel animation, like they've had Marvel cartoons, and most of them, not great. They're okay, and they have their moments. Spectacular Spider-Man, I think, is like top of the list there. That one is.
Which one's that one?
Spectacular. It's the one, I want to say early 2000s. Let me see. It got canceled after like 2 seasons. It had its own theme song. They didn't go with the like classic Spider-Man They had their own thing, and it was really good. Let's see, spectacular.
Speaking of Spider-Man, I found a wonderful picture this week of some. It's a contemporary theater, but it's like one of those old style. You put up the individual letters like theater marquees.
Mm-hmm.
And it's saying Peter Parker is Spider-Man and lists all the movie times. And then it's got another marquee, you know, like the front of the theater comes out in a point. So it's got a two-sided marquee. Yeah. So that's what it says on one side. And the other side, it says Sam Raimi's Spider-Man. And underneath it, it just says Bruce Campbell.
Okay.
Which is true. I just think it's so funny that they didn't name... They name one performer from the film Spider-Man, and it's Bruce Campbell. This must be like their hometown or something.
Maybe, or I mean, Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell have worked together, and you know, it's just like Bruce Campbell is in this one too.
Guys, I know you've seen the trailer. You probably know we got Tobey Maguire, we got Kirsten Dunst. We're here at the marquee is here to tell you to make sure you know Bruce Campbell is also in this. Like they're not going to put him in the trailer, but there he is.
Yeah. The Spectacular Spider-Man was from 2008. Lasted 2 seasons. And it was really, really good. And it got canceled and everyone was upset because it was actually good. But yeah, this is a completely different art style. Like it's all like action figures and stuff like that. This is back to the MODOK show. But I want more of stuff like that. Like take chances, do weird shows. Yeah. Like what if it's a slice of life, but it's this character? Or what if it's all action figures, but it's Steve Rogers, right? And they do that stuff. Yeah, I mean, I know we're getting What If.
Yes.
But that is still like based off the MCU, kind of, where it's like, hey, we're getting all the same actors for some of these and stuff like that. And I'm excited to see all the different art styles in that. I'm hoping they do different art styles with that one, which I think they are, if I remember correctly.
I think each of them ended up looking similar enough to each other in terms of the art, but they might be in other ways stylistically very different. Like one of them looks like it's a Marvel Zombies one, which could lean way more into horror than like...
Oh yeah, they're absolutely gonna do that stuff of, like, what if Marvel Zombies? What if this person got this thing instead? Or what if they, like, the Guardians of the Galaxy were actually the Avengers, and the Avengers were out in space and stuff like that. You know, they'll do all sorts of things.
Kyle, have you...
I would love different art styles and stuff like that.
Yeah, that would be fun. Yeah, maybe in the future they'll make another season called What If. More What If than before. Kyle, have you heard of Star Wars Detours?
No, I have not.
This was an animated series that was produced just before Disney bought Lucasfilm, and it has never been released.
Oh, okay. No, I
so this was produced by so George Lucas has always had it seems like a pretty good sense of humor about people making parodies of Star Wars. Like I heard a story where there was like a Mad Magazine Star Wars spoof
books and stuff. Like he had the like final say of like, yes, this is good. Or like, hey, if you want to do something on this character, like, or in this time, here's what's happening. So go make your thing while all of this stuff is happening.
But like, there's a story where Mad Magazine did a Star Wars spoof, and like the Lucasfilm lawyers were very upset about it, and we're going to send them a cease and desist. And then the Mad Magazine editor was like, actually, here's a letter from George Lucas himself, where he wrote to us and told us he loved it and asked if he could buy the original artwork. And like, he was apparently a fan of like the Robot Chicken Star Wars specials, and this was a show produced by the Robot Chicken staff. I think it had a lot of other Adult Swim writers. It mentioned like writers from this show. The video I was watching about it was like, it's got writers from this show and this show and this show, and it named The Venture Brothers, a show with 2 writers. Some Jackson Public probably wrote on it. But it was like a very irreverent, more skit-like take on Star Wars. And it was like it was animated in like kind of like a 2010 CGI style.
Yeah.
It looked fine, and it looked like it might be funny, and it was like full, like they made a lot of episodes. Like they made like, and I don't know if these were 22 or if these were like little 13-minute chunks. But they made like 30 something of them.
Oh, wow.
Like the thing was ready to go, and then Disney bought Lucasfilm, and they're like, this doesn't fit with what we're doing over here.
Canon except the movies and the cartoon and whatever else you make after that.
It was ready to go, but they didn't want to release it, but also it never like officially died. So I think it seems like they might eventually release it, because this video I was watching, I think, I hope I'm citing this correctly. There's a really great Lost Media channel on YouTube called All Things Lost that did a video for May the 4th about lost Star Wars media, and it talked about this. And I think there was something like the copyright's still open on this, or like there's like a page for it. Like there's some record somewhere that indicates that like Detours is not dead, and like it could be released somewhere.
Interesting. I'm wondering if it's like they just chose not to, like they didn't cancel it, they just chose not to put it out, and was like, maybe we'll save this idea for another time. Like we'll see what we do with the new stuff that we make and see how that works there. I mean, because now they are in a big time of expansion, right? They have the Bad Batch coming out. I know, I think within the past like 6 months to a year, they started a new line of comics that are in a brand new age that they've not officially explored in canon yet. So there's all sorts of stuff with that. So yeah, I mean, they might just be gathering stories and stuff like that. Sam says, things Star Wars and BlazBall have in common: the expansion era. When you said All Things Lost, of course my mind went immediately to the show Lost. But because you're talking about Star Wars, I was like, ooh, that'd be an interesting story of like, what if they did a similar premise to Lost, but set in the Star Wars universe? That would be neat.
Ooh. God, I would love it if like you got Jedi, you got Sith, and then you also have a Dharma initiative.
Right? Like I like when cartoons and all sorts of shows do homages to other like famous shows or movies when they do like I know Star Wars Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels have done homages to Seven Samurai and stuff like that, where it's like, okay, small town farm is being run down by the Empire, and so they hire the Jedi or whoever to help save them and stuff like that. I think it'd be neat if they did that with Lost. That would be so neat.
There's so many homages you can make to Lost. No, a Lost reference is always great. I think everybody's happy to see the numbers pop up somewhere.
For sure.
There was a Lost themed episode of Phineas and Ferb.
Was there really?
Yes.
Oh my god.
I don't really remember what happened. It had like one of the cast members in it, like maybe Terry O'Quinn was in it, playing like another one of the evil scientists that like Dr. Doofenshmirtz is colleagues with. I haven't seen this episode in years. I'll have to watch this again. Get myself back into some Phineas and Ferb, which is a lovely place to be.
I've probably mentioned it to you years ago when we first met. But there's a comic book called Chew. And
yes.
The premise is the main character has this power that when he eats things, he gets like a psychic impression of this thing. So if he eats, for example, a cheeseburger, he sees the cow's last moments. He knows what it ate. He knows who killed it. He knows where it was, like all of that stuff. And he then gets hired to be like a secret agent for the FDA to eat like dead bodies and stuff to help solve the mysteries and things. So it's basically iZombie. If you've seen that show, I think the show version, because from what I understand, that comic is very different. But yeah, it's a similar thing there, but the two main characters are based off of Miles and Sawyer from Lost, especially in that one timeline when they're cops. And there's all these Lost Easter eggs in there. They mention Jeremy Bentham. They mention all sorts of stuff, like in the background artwork and stuff. And it's wonderful. And I'm like, oh my God, look at that thing. It's great.
Lost Easter eggs are always joyous. I gotta hide some around my apartment.
There you go. Last thing, I started rewatching season 1 of Preacher this week.
Okay, yes.
I never finished the show, but I've seen the entirety of season 1, and I thought it was about time to just go finish that show. So I'm like halfway through season 1 right now. It's good. It's interesting that they even made this show and that they were able to do it on like prime television. Because that comic is the very definition of like in your face, irreverent comedy, like to the max. Like this is the definition of that. It
irreverent
is
to the max.
Irreverent to the max. It's all about like cocaine and hookers and sex and religion and all sorts of stuff, just all mixed into one big thing. And it's weird to see them try and do that without really doing that. Like it's still absurd and stuff, but it's like, man, this book is just like so much more. That it's just like, I don't know how they're getting away with this in this show. I remember walking away from season 1 just being like, it's fine. But it went on for 4 seasons, so apparently enough people watched it that they continued making it. So that's why I've been like, maybe I should go back and finish that one. Because I loved the comic. Yeah, that's all the stuff that I've been watching this week.
I've been watching old episodes of X-Files this week. I don't know. It's been rainy this week, and that just puts me in an X-Files mood.
That is a good X-Files weather. Cloudy,
or like
rainy.
the dead of summer.
Yeah.
Because it would
heat.
Right, because they would rerun it in the summer, and I got to stay up like an hour later in the summer, and I would get to like see some of these later reruns that like I would be missing during the school year. So, right. Yeah, like late May, it's hot outside. You're trying to fight turning the air conditioner on. So it's really hot in the house, but then to make up for it being hot, your parents buy you an ice cream treat. You get to watch Mulder and Scully solve a crime. It's a good feeling.
Those popsicles that you get at Costco and stuff, that there's just like you
plastic tubes.
Yeah, you bought like a pack of 60 of them, and the whole box was like $5.
Right, some of them are like that long. I went
Pops.
to a parade once where, like, in addition to throwing candy, like one truck was throwing out unfrozen Otter Pops.
That's what I am the weird kid, and that's how I would eat them. Like, I would wait for them to melt all the way, and then I would just drink it. That's what I would do. Like, I
want an Otter Pop.
A popsicle. That's what I need. I would just like, not grape juice. That's what I need. Melted popsicle.
Why don't we have other otter foods? Why is it only Pops?
I don't know if I would want an otter burger.
No, like, not like it's made out of otter. An Otter Pop, of course, isn't. But just like, I want like a little cartoon otter with a silly name. Like, look, we got Little Orphan Orange. We got, what's this guy's name? Strawberry Guy.
Little Orphan
Strawberry
Orange? What happened
she
to
does
his
look
parents?
I don't know. She looks sad. She has a dog. It's a little cartoon, so I can't tell if it's like
become Batman.
We got Sir Isaac Lime. He's a scientist. Maybe he can invent new parents.
I am the orange.
Alexander the Grape. So you've got history for kids.
And his arch nemesis, Annoying Orange. Okay. Enough of that. Well, listen, we got some Marvel news this week.
Yeah.
We got some Marvel news I think we should discuss. So cue the Marvel section of the podcast.
Kyle, you're gonna have to make us like a little musical sting that you can hit every time we're gonna talk about Marvel news.
Yeah, exactly.
Ants. Ant-Man.
Did you have something you wanted to mention about Ant-Man?
No, I'm quoting. No, that promo video. Like, we should just take the audio from that. You know that video? It's like 15 seconds long, and it's just Paul Rudd and Michael Douglas, and there's like drumming on their thighs and chanting, "Ants, ants."
I don't know if I've seen that.
It's so frantic. Oh, it's the best.
Oh man. So we got confirmation that Moon Knights will be played by Oscar Isaacs. That was pretty much known, but it was never like
didn't have confirmation.
Confirmed. Yeah, so they have now officially confirmed that. I don't know why autocorrect changed the name of that, but Dani, is that how do you pronounce her name?
I've never heard it spoken.
Michonne from The Walking Dead is reprising her role as Okoye in the Disney Plus show.
See, this is what surprised me, because I don't remember specifically being told that there was going to be a Black Panther Disney Plus show. So I think it's Dani.
Yeah, Dani Guerrera. Now I'm blanking on his name. It's Ryan Coogler who's directing it, right?
Yes.
So he signed on to a 5-year deal with Disney Plus to make various content with them. Some of that is like new original stuff, and some of that is like a Wakandan based show. Or it's like set in the MCU. And so she will be reprising her role as Okoye. In that.
I'm sorry, I forgot about the existence of that show.
Yeah, there you go. I don't know if we have official confirmation of what the title of that will be. If that's going to be
right,
World of Wakanda, or
feels very far away.
or if that will be I cannot speak agents of Wakanda.
I thought you were going to say Age of Wakanda. Like they were just taking the concept of an age back from Ultron.
No. No, there are comics with those names.
Okay.
Agents of Wakanda and World of
good.
Wakanda. So that
Have
might
a world.
Be me. Yeah. And then Aaron Taylor Johnson is going to be playing Craven in the new Spider-Man movie, No Way Home.
Now, hold on. Let's take this one item at a time. I saw he was going to be Craven. It said in an upcoming Sony Marvel project. I figured that was something over in like the... Isn't that what that news item said? You posted this. Right.
I just assumed, I guess it was the next Spider-Man.
It says he's playing Craven the Hunter for Sony Pictures. So I thought that's going to be in like the Morbius, Venom era. Right. He's going to headline Craven the Hunter, the motion picture, further expanding Sony Pictures' efforts to capitalize on its trove of Marvel comic characters with connections to Spider-Man. Yeah.
Why is that his own movie? Why wouldn't he just be a villain in a Spider-Man movie? His whole thing is that he's hunting Spider-Man.
Well, he's got to have at least an hour and 46 minutes of other events that happen in his life. And that's what this movie would be.
No one cares about those events. He's a hunter. That's it. Like he can
hunt other stuff. He can hunt a Venom. He can hunt a Carnage, a living vampire.
He's not interested. Like at least in the comics, he's not interested in that. He thinks that like his whole thing is that he's hunted like tigers and elephants and rhino and all that stuff. He thinks he's conquered them all, except for man, and he thinks that Spider-Man represents like the peak like physical like human that you could be. So he like goes after him and hunts him down, and that's his whole thing. That's it.
I imagine that can't be his whole thing. That does sound like most of the thing. They've
fleshed it out in years after that, and he's had conflicts with other people, I'm sure, but that's his main thing. And Craven's so Craven's Last Hunt, which is probably like the most famous Craven story, is a story in which he kills Spider-Man, or seemingly kills Spider-Man, and then replaces him, and is like, I'm the new Spider-Man. I can do it better. And spends like a couple weeks trying to be Spider-Man.
What a bad time for New York City.
I mean, he did okay, kind of, but yeah, that's his whole shtick.
Yeah, I don't know anything about Craven the Hunter. I knew that he did want to kill Spider-Man. I've seen pictures of him. I think he's covered in animals.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's mildly interesting to me, I guess.
Yeah, I'm willing to see new takes on the character, because he is one of those characters where he really seems out of place most of the time. I like his character, but it's still like, all right, dude, you're walking around in like a lion fur and like leopard print pants. What are you doing here? And yeah, his whole thing is that he's this like super masculine hunter, and he thinks he's just conquered them all, that he's the best of the best. But if they can do like a more modern take on that, I don't necessarily want to see him as a mercenary.
Yeah.
But yeah, like by all means, if you can make it work, show me. So we will see.
Right.
We'll see what they have to do there. But
And
speaking of,
no, I'm not done.
Go ahead.
What do you? I think it's funny that in a year where we've already had a Quicksilver reused in another role, that it keeps happening. It's happened. This has all happened before. It's just like a Quicksilver shell game.
We're coming, yeah.
We're just moving Quicksilvers around. Never waste a Quicksilver. You use every part of the Quicksilver. And so you put him in another part. Like the photo that Variety chose to represent Aaron Taylor Johnson, it's a great looking photo. He looks like he could be a great Craven. He's pretty good in Tenet.
Yeah, there you go. Which I saw someone mention that and then be like, wait, he was in Tenet? And just like had no idea he was in there, and then like they're like, I didn't notice him like until the last scene, and then was like, oh, that's who that was. That's who that actor was there. I don't know. So there is I remember more recent Spider-Man comics. There is like Craven's son that started to come up and do some stuff there. So I'm wondering if they are gonna do something with that. And he's not the original
Craven
Hunter. Yeah, good old little Craven, you know. Look at him go, you know. But yeah, he was like at the age where he was now taking on the name Craven the Hunter as the like, hey, this is your family's legacy. What are you gonna do with that? Your father was the one who conquered the jungle and, you know, hunted all of these wild beasts and stuff like that. What are you hunting next? Or something like that. So they could do something with that, which I think would be neat.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
So he's not going to be part of the MCU. As near as we can tell right now, he's in that, you know, that whole area is amorphous where like you've got Morbius and it looks like he's talking to the Vulture, and they've got a poster in there of Spider-Man, and it's the Raimi Spider-Man. Was that on purpose? What does that mean? So we have yet to see.
And speaking of all of that, though, it's a new report has apparently suggested that No Way Home will have a multiversal Sinister Six.
Now, words like report and suggest are very, very vague.
Very vague indeed, but they're at least when they say like report suggest, like they are basing it off of something.
From whom? You may ask where you've heard this.
I saw it on my Twitter and I retweeted it, or I quote tweeted it, basically being like, yeah, I could have told you that like 3 years ago.
Right. You could have released this news in like November when they were like, hey guys, Jamie Foxx is back and he is Electro.
Right, yeah. So this is from CBR.com, which is comicbookresources.com. Published 4 hours ago by Tim Adams, who writes, the Sinister Six, a collection of Spider-Man's greatest villains, are reportedly set to make their Marvel Cinematic Universe debut in Spider-Man No Way Home. Quote, a lot of speculation is Craven the Hunter, part of the Sinister Six, is that there is that what they're building towards? Is he going to be in Spider-Man 3? I don't really know at this point anymore. Jeff Snyder said on the Snyder Cut podcast. But here's what I heard last month. It's obvious that they're building to the Sinister Six in Spider-Man 3, which is Spider-Man No Way Home, blah, blah, blah. Who is this Jeff Snyder guy? That's what I want to know. And it's not Snyder as in Snyder, like Zack Snyder.
It's Snyder as in the pretzels. Heir to a pretzel fortune, pretzel magnate weighs in.
Who is... Okay, Snyder Cut Podcast. No, thank you.
No, thank you. This episode is brought to you by Snyder's Pretzels. Snyder's of Hanover. Bring them into your home.
Right. Snyder.
Yeah, I have a... Is there a canonical Sinister Six? Okay. Is there a canonical Sinister Six? Like it's always the same six guys, or is it like it's usually Doc Ock, usually Vulture, but there's some usual people suspects. Rotate out, right?
The usual suspects would be like the Lizard, Mysterio, Scorpion, Doc Ock, Electro, and then Rhino would be one of them. Yeah, and then I'm sure there's a few others you could put in there. So I mean, yeah, that's kind of who we're building towards, because we've seen the Vulture. Could be one of those, like, oh yeah, he's a member of the Sinister Six. We've seen Mysterio. We've seen Mac Gargan, who is Scorpion and also has history as Venom. And he's one of the people who's been Venom, but Venom is usually, as we know, Eddie Brock. I don't think they're bringing Venom or the symbiotes into all of this, but there is still speculation on that. We don't know.
Symbiotes is maybe too much to deal with in one film.
We've also seen Shocker get exploded. I think he's no longer around. We've seen the Tinkerer. I don't remember what happened to him.
Yeah, I think he's out there. He's somewhere.
Yeah. Who else? Of course, we now know that Alfred Molina as Doc Ock and Jamie Foxx as Electro are in there. So that's like, there's 7 possible villains. I don't think the Tinkerer is going to be one. We also know Morbius is out there, right?
Yeah, he's out there.
So
he lurks.
Yeah, like there's options. At one point they were also going to do a Black Cat and Silver Sable movie, and then that seemed to be canceled under a bunch of stuff of like, what if we don't do that one? So maybe they bring in Silver Sable or something like that. I feel like they would want some female representation on
Real
the
Boys
Sinister
Club,
Six
the Sinister
right?
Six.
Yeah.
Although in Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark, where Green Goblin's got a Sinister Six with him, there is a knife woman named Swiss Miss. Like a Swiss Army knife, like she's covered in blades and attachments. I'm just... Please.
Getting up to leave. That's it. We're done. None of that, please.
Let us not forget an important villainess in Marvel history and Broadway history.
Like I get the name. Swiss cheese has holes in it, right? You have a knife, you stab someone, they now have a hole in them.
Swiss Army knife.
First thing, right. But the first thing that I think of when you say Swiss Miss is hot chocolate. Marshmallows. Like that.
I didn't say it was It's not a well-written musical. They tried their best.
It's a terrible name.
It's not great, but she lives. She lives out there. There is Swiss Miss.
I'll pass.
I don't know who the other ones are. Who else is in A Freak Like Me Needs Company?
What?
Spider-Man, turn off the dark. A freak like me needs company. We gotta watch this.
Women villains. What's her name? I think. Let's see, Spider-Man villain. Let's see. All of these are. Oh, that's just super villains. That's not what I want. Dangerous women in Spider-Man's life. Cat. Spider-Gwen.
Yes.
Get out of here.
She's not dangerous. Well, yes, she is, but she can be a threat, but she's not a threat to us.
Well, the list is like the most dangerous women in Spider-Man's life, and they have Black Cat.
She's
as number
dangerous
15,
to heart.
Spider-Gwen at number 14, Shariq at number 13, Silver Sable at 12, Scream at number 11, Silk at number 10. Come on, guys. Madam Web, could be dangerous, but no thanks. Spider-Woman, the Maddie Franklin version. Menace, I don't even really know who that is. Chathra, I don't even know who that is. That looks mentioning. No, she's speaking to King there. Spider-Girl, Anya Corazon. These aren't necessarily villains. They're just like, here's some badass women in his life. And most of them aren't really in his life. Like, number 1 is Spider-Girl May Parker, who doesn't even exist in regular continuity.
Yeah. Well,
terrible list. Terrible list.
You see how good Swiss Miss looks now?
Swiss Miss is looking real nice right about now.
Yes. Multiversal Sinister Six sounds cool. Sounds as likely as anything. We're in a field where really all we can do is stare out into the middle distance with our chin in our hand and dream.
Wraith. That's who I was thinking of. Wraith.
I'd like to see it, but honestly, like, to have a whole 6 and then the allure of possibly bringing in the other Peters, that's very many people. I'd take just the 2 Peters and Electro and Doc Ock. Like, I don't need more. I'll trade in 4 villains for 2 Peters, please.
See, I think I would rather have the villains show up than the other Peters, but at the end of the day, I think I'd prefer all of this stuff to just be cameos, ultimately.
Yeah.
Because look, Into the Spider-Verse was amazing, but not everything needs to be that. Like,
right, yeah. A lot of it was small.
Not every Spider-Man story is a multiversal story. Like, do you know that a big part of his history is clones and stuff like that? Like, why have we not gotten a clone saga?
Right, we've dealt with no clones in the MCU. Closest we got was that copy of Vision.
Well, there's life model decoys and stuff like that, and there's scrolls and stuff like that. But like,
not a clone.
Yeah, there's no like, especially Spider-Man. Like, that is a big part of his story. And
wow.
And it's just like hasn't even been mentioned in any of the movies, hasn't even been mentioned in the MCU. Like, just no one wants to touch that, but they now all of a sudden were like, multiverse Spider-Man, that's the one. Yeah.
I think Spider-Man, we've talked about this, Spider-Man lends himself to a multiverse not in what is in his actual canon, but what is around his canon. The fact this is a character who we've seen various iterations of over and over again for decades, and you had those big Tobey Maguire movies who were really getting it right and then kind of fell off the rails with 3, and they're like, okay, pick ourselves up, dust ourselves off, we're going to try it again. There's this nice new boy named Andrew. Those don't go as great. Finally, and like, I spent so much of my life, when I think back on it, with people like, my life has been a series of up and downs with Spider-Man's great. Man, they're never going to make a really good Spider-Man movie. It's never going to get off the ground. Like, just the public opinion of Spider-Man and the various iterations of Spider-Man and how he's got this life in meta culture that just loops and loops and loops. I think that
makes sense.
Lends itself to a multiverse story.
They've done stuff. So there is an actual like comic called Spider-Verse, where they got the idea for that movie. But there is also Spider-Man lore with this idea that you know how like a spider can be on its web and know like which lines of web are sticky and which ones aren't, and like all of that stuff. Like, like if something hits the web like all the way down there, it knows because of like the vibrations. So I mentioned the character Madam Web on that list. That's who she kind of is. She is like this seer of stuff. She's like tuned in to the web, so to speak, and can like not the worldwide web, not the interweb, but just this idea that she is like connected to all of these different like spider related characters, whether that be in the same universe or not, and she can like predict things of like, oh, this thing happened over here, which means that's gonna cause a problem for you over there, and stuff like that. So there is some neat stuff you can do with that. I'm not necessarily a huge fan of all of that stuff in the comics. They could use it. Like, Spider-Man tried to do the like whole Bat family thing where there's like multiple spider, and they just like, that's not it. Like, there's nothing there that's really keeping them together. And so when it happens, it's just like, why are you all here? This doesn't really make sense. But who knows?
You know who's a good spider?
Who's a good spider?
The one from James and the Giant Peach. And let's just all take a moment and think about her.
Good for her, yeah.
There's so many other spiders that have nothing to do with Spider-Man. We got her. We got Shelob from Lord of the Rings. We got the big mechanical one from Wild Wild West.
We got Charlotte from Charlotte's Web, right?
Classic spider.
Yeah, there you go.
Watch Mojo's top 10 spiders.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't remember her name either, Sam. The one from James and the Giant Peach.
I think they were all just like Miss or Mr. whatever. She was just Miss Spider.
Right.
She had a beret.
That sounds about right.
She might have been Susan Sarandon. I don't remember.
This is Susan Spider person. Yeah, Sam says it's just Miss Spider.
Also, Sam, very helpful, put that Ant-Man video in our Discord.
Okay. Neat. Good. Let's see. Moving on to DC news. I just wanted to mention this really fast. So I
opened my browser and it's still on pictures of otter pops. Please continue.
Okay. So DC Comics has been announcing some casting for their Green Lantern show that they're working on for HBO Max. And it's been a little baffling. Baffling? Yeah, the first character that they announced that they cast was Guy Gardner. Now, I know enough about Green Lantern to know kind of who some of these Green Lanterns are. I've read a bunch of the post-crisis Green Lantern, so I know who most of these characters are, but I don't feel like I'm an expert in all things Green Lantern and stuff like that. I can tell you right now, I do not like Guy Gardner. He is
I've heard that before.
I think he's an interesting character to have exist. I think there is a reason to have him be there. But they said that he was going to be like the star of the show. So the character of Guy Gardner was he is this like sexist, misogynistic pig. Like, he is not a good guy at all. But in Hal Jordan's origin story, where the Ring picks him, it actually went to Guy Gardner first, but he was in a coma. And so it went to someone else. And so eventually he finds that out. And he's like, what the fuck? Like, that was supposed to be me. I'm supposed to be, the Green Lantern of Earth. But he's just a terrible person. And especially when Green Lanterns can basically be looked at as like space cops. And the recent discussions on police brutality and stuff like that here in the United States and around the world, to have that be the character of like, hey, our show is going to focus on this like racist, sexist, loudmouth pig. And it's just like, really? What are you doing?
Well, I'm sure that's like he will have a journey. Maybe that's him in the first episode, but that's not going to be him by like the end of the whole thing.
And that's the thing. I don't know how I feel about that story. I don't know if that's the story they need to tell right now.
Right. Like, I can understand that it might have value, but I also think,
but that's
like you said, this is probably a guy who has value as a part of an ensemble. But it is weird that you said that they're like, that is the protagonist.
That's the thing. I think it's totally fine for that character to exist. They can tell stories around that idea where maybe he is someone who takes things too far and stuff like that. But we have other Green Lanterns that are all existing at the same time, which Sam mentions the one from the cartoon, John Stewart, who was the black Green Lantern. Today, they announced that they cast Alan Scott, who is technically the first Green Lantern before there was a Green Lantern Corps existed. Like, he's not really related to the actual Green Lantern Corps, and he's also gay. Like, he is an openly gay character in the DC universe. So that's neat. But it's like, have a gay Green Lantern, you have a black one, you have a white one who's maybe not the best, but it is more recognizable. Like, you have Hal Jordan there. Like, you could tell all of their stories. Hell, you could tell the story of Sinestro and how he quit the Green Lanterns. You
tell us about Kilowog.
Exactly. Kilowog is great. I would love a whole story about him that focused on him. You have an entire galaxy of Green Lanterns because it's a core. There's multiple, and you have to pick the one that is a racist, sexist, like homophobic. Like, it's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? So that's strange.
I don't
That's all I have
know
to say
any.
on
I
that.
know very little about DC. I believe that this was probably chosen purposefully. This is going to be a story that's about learning, a story that's about becoming a better person.
I see. I think at least right now, that story is maybe better served for a character who's there and involved, but more of a side character.
Yeah,
Again,
exactly. Yes.
Core. Like, why is this the main?
It
character?
is a core.
I don't know, but yeah.
I don't know. I feel bad making judgments ahead of time.
Yeah.
Based on comic books I've never read, on a TV show I've never seen.
And that's the thing. They
all
could
I
be
can do
doing a different take where he's not the like racist, sexist stuff, and it is more of the like, hey, I got robbed of this position that like I felt like I was like cut out for. Like, is there's like, do I need to better myself, like self some way in that way? Like that, I think is a much more acceptable version of that. But the fact that he is known for being this thing, it's like, this is everything we've been saying is bad. Like that is the issue here. So I don't know.
All we can do is just hope for the best. I choose to place a lot of optimism in people who are writing things out there.
Yeah. We'll see. I'm excited for this story. I'm excited for HBO Max to do more DC Comics related content and stuff like that.
Yeah, I like the lore, what little I know about it, of the Lantern Corps. I think the lanterns are lanterns in every color. Green, yellow, blue, every color of the rainbow that you can name. I think they're all pretty interesting.
Yeah. Sam says HBO Max needs to renew Infinity Train. Yeah, Infinity Train was really good. We finished season 4 like a week or two ago. Yeah, I liked it a lot. That was a weird show because it started out as a kids show, but had very like dark undertones. And then once they did the like final 2 seasons or whatnot on HBO Max, they were like, yeah, this is no longer a kid show. Where this is going to be more for adults. And it was like, oh, this got very dark. But yeah, it's a good show. Good show indeed. Melissa, I have a little bit of sad news that I think we should end the show with.
End on
here. I mean, there's not like much like short things. Well, I guess there's one other thing we could do after that about the book that we have on our notes here. But I at least have to mention rest in peace to Kevin Clark. Whose career I'm largely not familiar with. I don't know if he stayed in acting or not, or what he did. But he was the drummer in School of Rock. And I saw that news this week, and I was like, oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
But something that was interesting about that is I remember when School of Rock came out, and even when I watched that movie back then, I really thought those kids were younger than me. Like, I don't know why exactly, but it was just like, they look younger than me. And apparently not. He was 2 years older than me. He was only 32.
Oh.
Wow. When he passed away this week. So that's really sad. But shout out to him. Rest in peace to Kevin Clark. But you're right. We should not end that on a downer. So Melissa, you also have some news here that we can
news. How do you like me? How do you like me? News. Just a little blurb from my podcast feed. I know we're both fans of the Pacific Northwest Stories family of audio dramas. We talked to Paul Bay, creator of the Black Tapes, a month or two ago, which was delightful.
You guys should go check
another
that out.
show. Another show in that family is Rabbits, which I think you haven't listened to yet. Is that correct?
Not. That's the one that's based on like or it's about this like augmented reality game kind of thing.
Yeah, it's like a weird alternate reality scavenger hunt type of game. Yeah, and it's about this journalist whose friend was looking into this thing and then she disappeared and nobody's sure. Well, was she kidnapped? Did she just run away, start a new life somewhere? Like nobody really knows what happened to this woman. And so our protagonist thinks it's this game and goes and looks into this game. Like, did she actually start playing this, not just investigating it? Did she run afoul of the game wardens?
Yeah, or have we been playing it all along? Playing it right now.
Right, it's one of those. I dig it a lot. It's got some neat concepts in it. It's from like 5 years ago or something at this point. I just re-listened to all of it conveniently enough. And then I just got a new little episode in my feed this week. Not a full episode, but just saying that creator Terry Miles has written a novel based on the world of this audio drama.
That's so cool.
I don't think it's like necessarily like the same characters. I wasn't able to find like a ton of information about it, at least not like written down. They might have said more details in the little announcement audio file that I'm not recalling now. But yeah, it comes out soon. Comes out in like mid-June. So I had to find somewhere to go order that. It's got interesting it's got a blurb from Cory Doctorow, a taut mystery play for a time of conspiratorial madness. A review from Norman Reedus. Norman Reedus says to read it.
There you go.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, there's a lot of podcasters out there who have been making like novels out of their stories and stuff like that.
Novels and graphic novels.
Lauren Shippen has 2 books that's out there based on the Bright Sessions, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Good stuff. Good on them.
Yeah, I'm always happy to see a podcast reach another format, be a 2-format concept.
Indeed. You know what? I totally forgot in the middle of our thing, since we have the new the new way to do our housekeeping. I want to do that more in the middle of the show. So I think what I'm gonna do is go back somewhere in there and splice it in.
Okay.
You've already heard housekeeping, but we did mention our interview with Paul Bebe, so please go check that out. That was a lot of fun. There were some really good stories in that.
That was a very fun episode. What a great experience we got to have.
It was. And we would like to give a big shout out to our Patreon supporters at the $5 tier and above. And shout out to Sam, who has been in the chat here with us.
Yeah, Sam messaged me, says there's
time. So thank you.
Says there's bad weather, so she may be flickering in and out of the chat, but she's here in spirit.
Yeah, she mentioned that in the chat. But yeah, thank you, Sam, so much for supporting us. We appreciate it. It means a lot. But let's see. With that, I think that about wraps us up. Melissa, let's do a tease for what we might do this next week on the Captain's Log. You had something
next week
down here that I think we could turn into like a main thing that we just completely missed.
I forgot. I didn't know, like, if we were coming up on one of our annual episodes, like next week is trivia already, and I have to start preparing trivia.
Not yet, but we have done a fantasy draft in the past, and I think we might do another one.
Okay, yeah.
Because you had one written down here. Do you want to let them know what that is?
Yeah. I'm just thinking about malls. I think tomorrow I might return to my local mall for the first time in 15 months, except for the one time I stepped in just long enough to buy one Auntie Anne's pretzel and I turned around and left. That about drafting your dream mall. Pick some anchor stores, some little interior stores, pick some counter service places for a food court.
Yeah.
Pick a nice table service restaurant. Pick an attraction, a movie theater, a mini golf course. What does yours have?
That would be fun. I say we do that for this next week.
Okay.
Building your dream mall.
Dream mall.
Good stuff. Melissa, where can they find you on the internet?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Wilkywit. That's WILKYWIT. And listen to my other podcast, Saturday Morning Obscurities, where me and my brother Jams talk about weird old kids shows you feel like only you remember. I think our latest episode at this time should be on the Disney Channel original movie Phantom of the Megaplex,
Nice.
which is my personal favorite DCOM, but one that doesn't come up too often. I think it's underrated.
Okay. Good stuff. That is exciting to hear. Go check that stuff out. If you guys want to stay up to date with me, I'm at Kyle Springer on Twitter. E3 is coming up around the corner.
Right.
Speaking of which, Melissa, we're going to have you on Crossplay in like a week or so here to be our human magic 8-ball for E3 predictions and stuff like that. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Be on the lookout for that on our Crossplay feed, which is our video game podcast. If you guys want to stay up to date with all of the shows and stuff that we do here at the Whatnauts, go follow us on Twitter at the Whatnauts. Go like, share, subscribe. You guys know the deal with all of that stuff. And I believe that is about it. So we will get out of here. This has been number 145 of the Captain's Log. We made it all the way to the end of the show without saying the name of the show. An hour and 36 minutes in. So welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Whatnauts Captain's Log. We're gonna get out of here. We're done. We will see you all next week. Bye.
Bye.